Good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. Today we have with us Robbie. Robbie, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robbie Cobbs. I'm the CEO and founder of an educational nonprofit called Tech My School, as well as a founder, creator, owner of a company called Tech Plan Genie.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. How do we get to Tech My School? What's the journey that led you there?
Yeah, so I was an educator. I've been an educator. I still am an educator. Started in the year 2000 in the inner city schools of Honolulu, Hawaii, and then came back to San Diego, where I'm from, and I worked in the inner city schools of San Diego for about 5 years. And then from there, started traveling overseas, kind of like working at diplomat type private schools. There's these American international schools in every major city in the world. And I started working at these big international schools. I went to Kazakhstan. I was in Qatar. I came back to Silicon Valley and got my master's in EdTech, and then continued back. I went from teacher to teacher trainer, and then teacher trainer or tech integrator to tech director or CTO of schools. And I moved to Saudi Arabia. I was at the American International School of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia for 4 years. Then I moved. I really wanted my boys to live in Africa. Like all the people we met, we either grew up in Africa or were African. We just got like such good vibes from them. And I'm like, man, it's like if you grew up in Africa, you were just a different person, you know? So we really wanted for them to have that experience. And so we got a job in Nigeria. We worked at the American International School of Lagos, Nigeria. Huge country. Nigeria is a big country. A lot of people. The city had like, I don't know, 22 million people or something like that. So it's kind of like the New York of Africa. It's not like, mud huts and giraffes. It's like concrete infrastructure, sky rises and stuff like that. So we were like in this kind of very metropolitan area in Nigeria. And so we spent COVID in Nigeria. And I was in charge of remote learning. So I came in as remote learning specialist, working in Saudi Arabia, terrorist attacks, in case the school shuts down, how do we keep the schools going with all these diplomat kids living in different parts of the world? So I became a specialist in remote learning. And so by going to Nigeria, they brought me in as a remote learning specialist because of Ebola, because of, political reasons that schools shut down there. And so I was training staffs for, shutdown before COVID happened. And so it was almost like when the fire went off, we had been practicing the fire drill. So we knew exactly what to do. I had like all, I had the manual and everyone was trained in it. And so we did not skip a beat.
Homeschool families. Homeschool Yo Kids Expo and Homeschool Beats Academy are teaming up to bring you a day of real support and real inspiration. Come explore curriculum and enrichment, meet trusted vendors, and connect with the homeschool community. And at our featured Expo stop, meet Homeschool Beats Academy and see how students ages 7 to 18 can create original music through beat making and production with parent-friendly guidance. Get dates and details at homeschoolyokidsexpo.com.
If anything, we burned ourselves out because we were working so hard. And then once our contract ended, my wife and I decided like, all right, let's just take a break. Let's do a 1-year sabbatical. I'm going to write my book on EdTech, which I did. It's called Tech-Centered, Learning-Driven. You can get it on Amazon. It's all about, teaching teachers how to become an EdTech professional. If you want to get in that, go up that ladder, I guess you can say professionally, or if you're just a teacher who wants to learn how to, maximize technology and how do you conceptualize the basics of it. That's the book for you. Anyways, and we decided we wanted to live on an island while I write this book. We love tropics, we love islands. And so we were like, all right, we're going to decide between either Zanzibar, which is an island off of Tanzania, which we'd been in, we loved it. We'd been to Stone Town and stuff like that. Thailand, which is another place we really love. We love the food and the culture and stuff like that. Or Puerto Rico. And so we ended up landing on Puerto Rico because it had all of the check marks, beautiful island, cool culture, all that stuff. I studied Spanish in high school and college in San Diego. I wasn't good at it, but I was like, it'd be great if my kids were like immersed in Spanish and really knew like all these Bad Bunny songs or whatever, like whatever, you know what I mean? Because I really feel you learn language best when you're immersed in it. And also Puerto Rico has Costco. So I was like,
really?
Yeah. So I'm like, I miss when I was living in Nigeria, you don't have those comfort foods. So I was like, man, I miss Costco. And also Puerto Rico is America. So everyone here is an American
Yeah.
citizen. They're all American kids, same passport. There's USPS. You see the same little white mailbox trucks driving around. They have the National Park Services. They have Costco, Walmart, Sizzler. It's America, but it's just this, it's just a Latin version of America. So anyways, for me, I was like, this is cool. Let's go here and let's take the sabbatical. I'll write the book. We'll do 1 year. I'll buy a boat. I like to fish. I'll sell the boat and I'll go back to this very comfortable lifestyle working at these diplomat schools. So that was kind of the plan. And then we got to Puerto Rico. And so we landed in Puerto Rico for this 1 year plan. And we decided, we're like, you know what? Let's put the kids in the local school. I used to work in the inner city schools, Hawaii, it's probably going to be the same as that. And, not as strong maybe as California or New York or something, but it's still America. Like it still has a standard. And man, I put him in the schools here and I was just absolutely shocked at the state of education in Puerto Rico. I was like,
Really?
this looks like Nigeria. Like I just came from Nigeria. I had the school I worked in, which was an affluent school, but we did a bunch of like community service in Nigeria, like in Lagos. So we put on conferences for local teachers so they can kind of learn the latest and greatest. We donated a bunch of technology to schools and stuff like that. I used to work with orphanages in Nigeria. So it was like, I know what the public schools and the private schools look like in Nigeria, and these public schools in Puerto Rico like look like these schools in Nigeria. Why? Like it's America. Like I understand it's like a Spanish version of America, but it's still the same passport, same American citizens. Like you can get a Spirit airline flight to San Juan and come get a job here at Sizzler or whatever, or as a teacher. And there's no visa process. It's just like going to Arizona or Tennessee or something. So I was very shocked by that.
Homeschool families, are you ready to refresh your plans for the year? Join us at the Homeschool Yo Kids Expo. Meet curriculum and enrichment vendors, discover new programs, and connect with a community that gets it, all in one place. Come with questions, leave with real options. Get event details and register now at homeschoolyokidsexpo.com. That's homeschoolyokidsexpo.com.
And that did not sit well with me. Let's just to say that it did not sit well with me, because when I was in these other countries, like when I was in India, when I was in Kazakhstan, when I'm in China, when I'm in Nigeria or whatever, you see these people who they don't, no matter how hard they work, they have no chance. They're not the right gender. Basically, they're not a man. They don't have the right last name. They're not from the right tribe. They're not from the right religion. They're not from the right family. And there isn't this kind of like rope to pull themselves out of them. There isn't this education that's guaranteed for them where there's kind of an equal playing field. And one of the things that I learned and that I'm really proud about being an American is that, like, coming from San Diego, California, it's a very diverse state, but there's also this narrative just like browbeating, like Americans are terrible, we're so racist, we're so bad, like we can do better, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought we're like this, Nazi state, right? That's kind of what's been really. I was just like, we're so bad, there's slavery, there's all these things, we're so bad. Then I started living in these other countries. I lived in Europe. I was in Scandinavia, like the beacon on the hill. I'm like, these people are really racist for real though. You know what I mean?
You said for real though.
Like we have problems. It's kind of like
it wasn't any covert racism.
Yeah, there's a little bit of there's some covert racism happening in the States or whatever, tribalism. You go there, it's like it's racist for real. And this is Europe. And then if you go to these other countries in Asia, like they don't even try to hide it. You know what I mean? It's like they're like, like publicly, there's little posters like, hey, if you look like this, get away. You know what I mean?
My gosh.
And then, dude, in Africa, it was like that. Like, if you're not from the right last name, like you're from Ibu tribe and not from, Yoruba tribe, it's like, good luck getting a job, bro. You know what I mean? So,
wow,
it's insane. It's insane. So I'm like, man, I'm really proud of America. Like, we're not perfect, but like, we're so much better than everybody else. It's
a little
crazy.
bit more progressive.
We're the most progressive. Like, as sad as it sounds, like we are the best in the world, and it's not even close. Like, if you traveled outside the States and you experienced it yourself, like we're good. And so I'm really proud of that. Like the fact that Obama was the president, like he was this guy, his dad was from Kenya, came over here, hooked up a white, this white lady. Then he left and she was raised, like she raised him in Indonesia. Then he came back, was in Hawaii, which is, not a real state. And then he goes, works, he's jumping around these schools, and then he becomes our president because he was a qualified, well-spoken, articulate, like he was very deserving. And I was like very proud to vote for him because he represented, like, that's America to me. Like, it doesn't matter like who you are, it's what you are. It doesn't matter what you look like, you know what I mean? Or what your religion or whatever, you can make it. Like, that doesn't happen anywhere else. Like, truly. Like, and I try to tell this to people. I'm like, I'm in these other countries. I'm like, try being from that tribe and being the president. They're like, oh, no. I'm like, imagine being a Chinese guy coming over here, hooking up with a chick and then leaving. Like, I try to put it in the context. They're like, wow, like that kind of gives them perspective of our country versus theirs. So anyways, long story short, I'm very proud of that. And I'm also, when working in the inner city schools, I never met a kid who worked really, really hard, listened to his teachers, tried his best, and didn't make something of themselves. Like they got good grades. They're like top of their class or whatever. And then they go to college and they become, whatever they want in their field. Like, I saw that time and again. Well, the difference in Puerto Rico is that, like, in these other countries, again, it doesn't matter how hard you work. If you're not the right tribe, you're not the right color, you're not the right whatever, you're not getting the job, you're not getting the whatever. And that's not every country, but I'm just saying, like, I've seen it. And it's real. Well, that rope, that golden rope, that's why there's literally hundreds of millions of people who want to come to America for that reason, where it doesn't matter what you look like, sound like. I mean, my roommate in college was from Kenya. He's from Nairobi. And this dude has the thickest accent you've ever heard. And I love him like a brother, and like, he went to school, worked hard, kind of had that kind of grit, went to Oklahoma, got a petroleum engineering degree, and now he's crushing it. You know what I mean? And he's still got that accent, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's America. Well, anyways, these kids here in Puerto Rico, it's like they come from good families. They're working hard. They're trying their best. And I'm talking to these 17-year-old kids. They've never used a computer before. They may have used a phone, but like, they've never used a computer before. They barely speak English. They're reading at a 4th grade level. And they're the good kids who try hard. So like, that rope isn't afforded to them. Like, good luck competing against any high school senior in Miami or New York or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just so low. So there's like this eye test. The schools look terrible. They don't have libraries. There's no public libraries anywhere in Puerto Rico.
What?
Yep. They didn't have cafeterias. There's no big grass fields. There's no like my high school, I was a varsity athlete. We had like 30 or 40 sports: tennis, track, basketball, like all these different things, all these clubs. There's like 3 sports here, and they don't even play each other every week. They'll only have like these tournaments once a month or whatever. It's like, they're just, and it's America. So
why?
So like,
why is it like that?
Well, you know why Bad Bunny did his halftime performance in Spanish? And like, I'm here now. So like, when he was going through like did you watch it?
Yeah, I actually did. Look, I actually did.
Yeah, it was a great show. And he was going through all these different cultural things. And there were so many things. I'm like, like, he had the electricity, because electricity always goes out here. Because there's like this, there's like, the infrastructure's all tore up. And so he was like protesting all these things about Puerto Rico struggling. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm here now and I know it. So I'm like, I totally get everything he was saying. I'm like, that was an awesome show. And if you look at like the history of Puerto Rico, it was acquired around the same time Hawaii was, right? It's just they're on 2 opposite ends. The reason Hawaii is a state is because the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, which was a territory at the time. If the Germans would have bombed Puerto Rico, which was the Atlantic version of the Pacific, Puerto Rico would have been the state. You know what I mean? But still, we're still stuck in this like territory status where like they can't vote for president. They can vote for the primaries, like who's going to represent the party, but they have no Congress people. They have no senators. So like, everything that happens to them is like, they have no representation. But they're still
like, why? Okay, because they're not a state. They're still not seen as.
But they're still Americans. They're still Americans. They still got the passport and they can still leave. So that's what everyone does.
So what are they considered as? Like a
American citizens? It's called a territory, but like
a territory.
They can go and leave and work. And so it's just crazy. Like, teachers are making like $1,500 a month here. My brother's a PE teacher in San Diego. He makes $110,000. You know what I mean? Anyone from here.
Wait a minute.
Go look at the salaries in California. Go to Silicon Valley. You'll see it. Public school teachers.
I'm in California right now. We're in Rancho Cucamonga right now. I didn't know it was like that. I mean, I don't live here.
He has a master's in like he's done his 10 years, but it's like teachers, you start at like 60, 80,000, whatever, and there's a pay scale. Like you do the years, you're getting paid. And there's also like when you finish, there's this great severance not a severance package, but I'm getting on the word. You know the word where you get money for after you retire or whatever.
But that's Cali though, because I taught in Virginia, and I want to say I started with the master's at maybe like almost 50. It was like 48,000, I want to say. And the teachers that have been there and their pay scale, like 70, 60, what? 70, no. They were like right there with me. They were like 54, 55.
Got it.
It was wild. Yeah.
If you look at the poverty line, the U.S. poverty line, I think is at like 29,500, let's say, for a family of four, right? If you look at the average income of Puerto Rican families, it's like at 22,000. So they're already like almost 50% below poverty line. So like everyone's in poverty, and these teachers are making, like I said, under 20K a year, right? And so under 20K, yeah, because they're making about 15 to 1,800. So you're making, it's rough, yeah. So
So how many schools do they have?
They roughly have about 1,500. There's about 750 public and 750 private. There's about half and half. And the reason there's so many private, they're not the private that we think of when we think of private schools. They're like basically a place where you can put your kid and you can go work. Because in public schools, there's such a teacher shortage here. There's no substitutes. So like if your teacher's out for a week because she has surgery or a month because she's sick or whatever, they just tell you don't
have school.
Just come pick your kid up. So you can't work. And so they put them in these private schools just so you can go work. Anyways, I didn't know any of this. I just came here, and I might not be 100% factual with everything I'm saying, but like, that's what I've seen. That's my truth. That is what I experienced. And I work with schools all the time. Before this call, I was on a call with the director of school, and that's all I do is work with schools now. So anyways, I saw all this, and I'm like, with my international background, I'm like, I can't sleep. I can't just relax and chill and go fishing and have this cool beach life, knowing all these American kids are like not getting an education. And so I looked into the data. There's this test called the PISA test, the PISA. And it's a standardized testing, math, reading, science, for all of the countries in the world that participate. There's like 100 countries that did it. Puerto Rico did the test separately from the US. They went in as their own kind of entity. In the world, let's say in the scale, there's like a blob of like 80 schools all kind of like clustered in the middle. Then you have some over on the right that are like, Singapore, Japan, Korea, those guys. And then you start to get over here and you've got like Cambodia, you've got like Thailand, and then you get like Mexico. And then at the far, far extreme left, it's Puerto Rico. They score the worst in the world in math, reading, science. And I'm like, being from San Diego, I have an affinity to the border in Mexico because like I would go down there for like tacos and stuff, whatever, for like a day trip with the family. And I used to think like, man, I'm so lucky I was born like 30 minutes north of the border because my life would have been so different. Here these American kids they're scoring way worse than the Puerto Rican kids or the Mexican kids. So it's like, I just did not sit well with me. I'm like, I got to do something. So I went to the school director and I'm like, hey, I just put my boys in the school. I know parents are insane. I'm not that parent, but there's no books in the school. You have no library. There's no public library. Your class library has like 4 books in it. How are your kids reading? And she's kind of like, oh, they try to do these books and the teacher writes on the board and the kids like copy off the board and read it. And I'm just like, would you like 50,000 books? Like, I'll just give you guys 50,000 books. She's like, really? How? I'm like, let me get you guys Epic. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get you Epic, 50,000 books. I'm like, cool. I'm like, all right, what's your email? And she was like, catlady69@gmail. And I'm like, bro, no, like, what is your official school email. She's like, oh, we don't got that. And I'm just like, what? And so I'm like, all right, let me get you guys Google for Education. Let me get accounts for all the kids, all the teachers. And then I just started peeling the layer of the onion. I'm like, do you guys have student information? Nope, everything's paper-based. Do you guys have a learning management system? It's like nothing. So I became like their EdTech department. And I went from new parent to training all staff the first month. Like my kids are in the school. Now I'm giving all staff professional development. It's like every month. And so luckily the director was cool with it. She's like, yeah, come in and help. And so,
please.
Yeah. And so I started setting things up. I'm like, the teachers don't have computers. Like a few teachers had computers. They brought them from home, but I'm like, all right, I got to get everyone computers. So I started dipping into that boat money to buy the software, buy the computers for the teachers and just, invest in these schools. And it went really well. They were very receptive and the teachers started talking. So another thing about Puerto Rico is the most religious place in America. So you think it's a Bible Belt, but it's actually like the Bible Belt has I think 65%, let's say, identify as Christian or Catholic or religious or whatever. In Puerto Rico, it's 90+%, like 98% or 96% Catholic, Christian, whatever. And so because of that, they're all in these churches and that's kind of like their community and blah, blah, blah. And so these teachers were talking to each other like, hey, there's this gringo. He's giving us free computers. Like, you got to tell him to hook you up, blah, blah, blah. So then I start getting messages from teachers from these other schools like, hey, my friend's school said you're doing this stuff. Can you help our school? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I went to that. So I started helping that school. And so by the end of 12 months, I had 4 schools that I was the tech department across the whole island, going coast to coast, helping these schools, computers, trainings. And so I took it from just me and my wife helping the school to an actual nonprofit. And we called it Tech My School. And the reason I did it was because we would go into these schools and kind of improve them, right? We go in, we do an audit, and then we find out where the gaps are, and then we improve them. And I wanted to be kind of a catchy name. And so there was this show I used to watch back in the day on MTV called Hit My Ride with Exhibit, if you remember that show. So there was this guy who'd oh, this is my car. I work at Denny's or whatever. And I like tennis. And he'd make his car like a tennis ball or whatever. And so I was like, that's kind of me, I'm going into these schools. I'm fixing, I can't rebuild the school, but I can make it better. And so anyways, that's Tech My School. And so, and so it went really well. I did the thing and we were 16 months into it. And I was like, all right, I've done my community service. I did because the thing is we tell kids all the time, be risk takers. When you see someone down, help them, be entrepreneurial. But teachers in general, the most risk averse people on the planet. You went to school, we're very conformist, we raised our hand or whatever. We did our homework. We listened we followed the rules. Then we went to college. We followed the rules. And then all right, let's go back to the same system and be teachers again. And now our whole life is this system. Nothing risky about that at all. And so I was in this position where I had worked really hard to become a tech director and, become this person who was traveling around the world, giving speeches at conferences and being a speaker and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to say I was amazing, but I had built a reputation. I was a guy. And I kind of gave that up I'm I know I can help, but I've been lying to kids for 20 years. I better to do the thing. So, right. And so I did the thing and, so that's Tech My School basically in a nutshell. But I learned, another kind of random thing about Puerto Rico is, so Puerto Rico is America's largest tax haven. So it's that's why a lot of famous people live here is because if you have a business or you own stocks or you trade crypto or whatever, if you move from Rancho Cucamonga to Puerto Rico, you basically don't have to pay tax anymore. On all of your capital gains from trading stocks, owning stocks, whatever, rental properties, all that stuff, no tax, 0%. And then if you have companies, your company, you basically fly to Puerto Rico, start another company, and you export your services, basically your brain, to run your company in that home state. And all the money passes your company in Puerto Rico. And your company only pays 4% tax instead of 30 or 40% tax, or in some cases 50% tax. And then you can bypass that profits or distribute them to yourself at 0% tax. So like my neighbor's like this dude who makes like 50 million a year. You know what I mean? Because he
Robbie, you have you have blown my mind.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know any of this stuff. So I just was trying to write a book and look at some ocean before, take a sabbatical with my wife. And anyway, so the one caveat though is you have to donate to a local nonprofit. And so they have to donate $10,000 per year to a local nonprofit. And I was like, I'm 16 months into this thing. I'm like, and I found this out. I'm like, dude, I've been using my own money for this. Like, where are the people donating to me? And
right.
And so I kind of like unlocked Pandora's box. I started going to these networking events. I started raising money, and I'm here 5 years deep. I'm not going to.
That's why I was waiting on how many years later this was, because
So I'm 5 years in. We've served 50 schools. We've donated 1,000 computers. We do about, we do about 200 professional developments per year. We host the biggest EdTech conference in the Caribbean. April 10th and 11th. You want to get your bikini and head out. If you speak at our conference, we'll pay you for your flight.
What?
Yeah, we want speakers. We do about 40 speakers a year. We got George Couros who's going to be here. We're flying him in. We've got the Secretary of Education. So we have an MOU with the Department of Education. We're with all the schools here, public, private. We serve everybody, charter, doesn't matter. We serve schools off island, on island. But yeah, we're just trying to help America's most underserved, under like every DEI metric, every performance metric, every financial metric. Like an inner city school would be like an elite private school here, for reals. Because private inner city schools have libraries, they have fields, they have football teams, they have teachers who are making like 50,000, 100,000, whatever. They've got, they have all the things. Schools here, they don't have all the things. And their scores are way worse, like crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Like I was just going through the metrics with one of my schools, and I had paid for, I got our Epic, I got them, it's our first year with the school, and it's always the same cycle with schools. So we've got Epic, we've got Read Theory, Adaptive Learning, Adaptive Reading, and then we've got map testing, which is like standardized testing, but so you can chase the metrics. And I did a mid-year check-in, and I'm like, hey, let's take a look at the data. And they haven't been using it at all. But when they did use it, I can see where their kids are at, and they're easily, it's like fifth graders, first grade. They're all about 4 to 5 grade levels behind. So it's like, it's the worst in America, and they're all American kids. So for me, it doesn't sit right. There are literally thousands of other nonprofits here because they just think it's a cash grab. So I'm competing with people who like literally throw themselves parties, and like there's these donors who are wealthy. They start their own nonprofits themselves, and they throw themselves parties because it's like a social club. And like I'm working with schools, and there are these rich people who are like, literally, like there's this one nonprofit. They raised $2 million in like 4 weeks because they basically brought Imagine Dragons, the band, and they had like a sushi bar, and they had like a Wagyu steak station and caviar. And they're like, hey, come hang out with Imagine Dragons. Just give us your donations. We'll give it to some kids. And they had like stock photos that wasn't real. And like, know what I mean? They just raised. So that's going to definitely affect us this year for sure. Because they just swooped it up like $2 million quick.
And that's what I was wondering. How many nonprofits are there working with them? Like, do they have? But they're just there collecting.
Like, when it comes to education, besides maybe like the Boys and Girls Club, who's the Boys and Girls Club, we're like the only legitimate educational nonprofit on the island where we're working with schools every single day. I mean, you can see it. Just go to any nonprofit's Instagram. If they have stock photos or just like selfies, that's not real. If you see, like, you should see the work every day because that's what you're doing. You're trying to promote your brand. You should see it. It's not hard. So that's like our differentiators. Like if you want to donate to a real nonprofit who's really helping schools that have metrics, that have all these things, like just go to the Instagram and look at what they're doing. Like if you go to Tech My School on Instagram, you're going to see our work every single day, working with schools, working with kids. We donate stuff every single day. You know what I mean? So but it's tough. It's really tough because a lot of people here who are evading taxes are self-interested, like, what can I get for me? What are you going to do for me? What do I get out of it? if I'm donating, there's 8 or 10 nonprofits, and this guy's throwing having this party, this guy's doing this event, this guy's doing this dinner, what are you giving us? So we've had to compete with that. We did a fundraiser. We do basically 2 a year. We do a gala, which is basically like a board meeting where we have all of our metrics. We have teachers, we have directors who are there. We do a student art showcase. So we're like any nonprofit trying to raise money. But then we do one other one, which is a comedy show. So we do comedy. But again, it's like the budget I put into it is like nothing. I'm not bringing in Imagine Dragons. I'm bringing in a guy who, you know what I mean? I brought in a comedian who works at a gas station in Texas because he said he'll do it for free. Like that's I did the stand up too. I did a set. Like that's basically where we're at.
Okay, so are you working mostly in just Puerto Rico, or is Tech My School everywhere?
Yeah, Tech My Schools. We focus on schools in Puerto Rico. Obviously, if Brad Pitt moves here and says, "Hey, come donate to my nonprofit. You save the seals. Come take a picture with my shirt off or whatever at my house." that there are celebrities who can do that and have done that. Like Jake Paul has a nonprofit or whatever. Because he lives here. He's a taxpayer like everyone else, right?
Oh my gosh.
Right? Bad Bunny, they all do it. Like they're all taking advantage of it. But anyways, so we have to have financial streams because like to keep us going, I make an investment in a school. We're donating between 50 and 80,000 per school. So it's like if I'm investing that much, money and time, like I need to have some sort of continuation. Like I don't want to tell a school like, "Hey, sorry, I didn't go to enough networking parties and I didn't buy enough people beer. So I got to say goodbye to you kids. You don't get your computers this year," or whatever. You know what I mean? So we provide our services to schools in the States. We have this whole strategic planning process that we work with schools on for EdTech, for technology, and then they'll pay us to help them build these tech plans. And then if they want us to help them with trainings, we do that. We have softwares. We have partnerships with companies who give us discounted rates, and then we work as their philanthropic arm. So if your school wants Flint AI or Magic School or whatever, they can say, "Hey, we want 100 licenses for our teachers. You buy it through us. We get a cut. Magic School gives us a discount, so they're happy to get a new client, and then your school gets a 10 or 20 or 50 or 190% off discount, depending on because we have an equitable scale, based off your tuition or your circumstances to give you better rates, basically.
Oh, wow. Robbie. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing out there and around in general, but thank you. This has definitely been very enlightening. I did not know any of this about Puerto Rico. I'm sure many people did not. No.
There is a big, I know you have homeschooling in your title of your podcast. So there are a lot of homeschool families here. When you come to Puerto Rico, if you don't like the schooling system here for obvious reason, you can homeschool, and it's very loosely structured. So you can basically you don't even have to really report it. You can just raise your kids from home and do homeschool, and there's no state requirements, or if there is, it's very loosely regulated. So there's massive homeschooling communities in Puerto Rico because they're trying to take advantage of the tax situation. And so there's different conglomerates of families. And so for us, we're they're obviously American kids. We want them to have a good education as well. So we help homeschooling families as well as normal schooling families. Or traditional schooling families, however you want to call it. We have these guides. So we put out these guides for traditional schools, and then we have schools guides specifically for homeschooling families. So if you go to techmyschool.org and you click more, you're going to see our guides, and there's one for homeschooling families. So if you want to see okay, what is it like to raise a kid in Puerto Rico at homeschool? What are the groups? What are the activities? Where are the bookstores, and where are all the things? How do we navigate an island that doesn't have libraries, and We're also this year we're going to be pushing out this mobile STEAM lab. So we're going to be going around to the different like homeschooling groups, providing like this STEAM activity for them, this kind of techie hands-on experience. And the hope is basically they'll get the service for free, and then we'll use, but they have to donate with their, that's why I say free, but they have to donate anyways for being here. So it's like they donate, then that money goes to helping the poor schools in Puerto Rico, and it's kind of a win.
So Puerto Rico, like Hawaii, like all the Caribbean islands, they have resorts and all of those good things.
Yeah, I live literally at a resort, like right next across the street from a resort from my house. And the conference I'm doing on April 10th and 11th, I'm doing it at the resort. So there's a convention center at the resort. It's right on the water. It's a very beautiful, if you just YouTube Tech My School Conference, you'll see a little video from last year. So you can see like the property. It's going to be at the same place. It's great. It's like fully catered, 5-star. Because I really want to give these teachers, it's free for the teachers to come. Like I want to give them that experience, that they could never afford. Because these kind of, like I've been to these kind of conferences before. The tickets are like $2,000, $1,500 or whatever. That's a month's paycheck for them. And again, milk is $9. Milk is $9, or $8.
And that's what I was going to say, but the prices don't even match the money that the people are making. So everybody's in poverty there.
The best way you can conceptualize it, if you've never been here, it's kind of like Mexican Hawaii. So you get these Hawaii tropical vibes, and you do have like resorts, and there's this big tourism industry. But then you feel like there is this Latin culture, some Spanish, and there's a lot of things that they have some weird things too. Like they still follow, because it was a Spanish, it's like the oldest city in America is San Juan. It's like 500 years old. So before even people were in, Jamestown or whatever, Puerto Rico was already kind of set up by the Spanish, because that's where Christopher Columbus hit, was actually the Caribbean. And so America took Puerto Rico from Spain in 1898. And so that's why there's a Spanish, and they were Spain for 400 years. And so they have the Spanish real estate law they've kind of grandfathered in. So there's these weird laws, like if you buy a house, it automatically goes to your kids, right? And then not only that, like let's say the parents die and let's say you have 5 brothers and sisters, 4 of them are like, hey, we need to sell this place. And then, one of them's like, I never want to sell it. You can't sell it unless there's a complete agreement. And so they just literally let the property like rot. So you just drive around the island, you see tons of properties are just like decrepit because of that Spanish real estate law. It's really weird for me.
It is. No, I mean, no,
there's like whole cities like that. There's like little villages where it's like it's like beachfront property. Like you're thinking Miami Beach, it's right there, because they might have a couple of like hotels and stuff, and then everything else around it is just like there's trees growing out of the house because they just left it alone because some cousin or some brother said, no, I'm never selling it.
Oh my goodness. How long you plan on staying there till your work is done?
I mean, until either I can't afford it because we don't raise enough money, or I don't know. We want to build a legacy. I've basically taken the best of every layer of education and put it into one. Like I work with kids still, we do after school coding. So I still get that excitement, and kids are, happy to be there. But at the same time, you're not dealing with like angry parents or grading or anything like that. And if a kid gets like crazy, you can say, hey, this is free for you. So if you're not going to behave, you got to go. So you don't have to deal with behavior issues. I get to work with teachers in a way where I'm transferring knowledge and training them and helping them, observing them. So you get that positive interaction with teachers. You get to do strategic planning with administration. So it's fun. And, there's all that. You're not stuck at one campus. So you're not like stuck in the monotony of one school, or stuck with like the gossip or like somebody's ego who's like, lording over the place. It's kind of like you go in, you do your thing. It's rah. It's all fun and excitement. We bring food, we bring fun. We come in the next day, we observe the teachers, we give them some, feedback, and then we're on to the next school. You know what I mean?
Then we're on. Then we're out.
Yeah. And then there's this entrepreneurial side to it. We get to raise money. We get to be creative. We get to throw conferences, and we're like, how can we raise money? Let's do a comedy show. Like we get to do all these fun, cool things. We're getting to be entrepreneurial in that sense. We made a product. We can sell the product. So Yeah, it's kind of checking a lot of boxes. And then it's for like the best things to serve these America's most underserved schools. It's like worse than any inner city schools. You know what I mean? And so that's why for me, it's like, how can it get better than that? And then it's in a beautiful place. Like Puerto Rico is an absolutely beautiful place. And they have a really vibrant culture. There's, you know, basically how you get to a Puerto Rican, they have this Taino people. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but basically the Native American Indian, they lived here. Then the Spanish came in, took over through conquest and rape and torture in not good ways, but they made it a real colony for 400 years. And then they also brought in slaves from Africa, West Africa, to look the sugar canes and whatever. So the Puerto Ricans are this conglomerate, this amalgamation of like Native Americans, Spanish, Nigerians, all mixed into one. Like that's how you get J-Lo, you know, the anatomy of J-Lo, that's where it's coming from. You know what I mean? And
right.
So they've got their own vibe, they got their own food, they got their own stuff, but it's still America. Like there's Costco and, you know, there's kind of like three factions. There's like one faction that's like, we Puerto Ricans want to be independent. We have our own thing. We want to be our own country. There's another faction that's like, we're American. We've been American for over 100. You know, before Arizona was a state, Puerto Rico had Americans in it. Like we're America. We've been American for hundreds of years, over 100 years. We're American, you know? And then there's this other faction that's like, let's just keep it the same. Like we get to do our Puerto Rican thing. We kind of get the benefits of both. We get our culture, we get our language, we get our people, but at the same time, we get this American like passport. We get the American money coming in from DC. We get this, you know, we get the benefits from both. So like we want to keep it the same. So internally, there's a lot of like strife. The politics here are crazy. Like they're all into it. I'm not into it.
I can imagine, but you said they don't have senates. They don't have representatives.
They don't, but there's someone who's there in DC who's kind of like voicing the opinion of Puerto Ricans. But
so do they have like a mayor? Do they have?
Yeah. So basically the way it's structured is like
councilmen. Like do they
locally they have locally have governors and they have mayors of towns and stuff like that. So DC basically says, okay, you have this many Americans, you get this much money, and they send billions of dollars to the local government system here. And then you're asking, at least from my opinion, why does it look like Africa? Is because they kind of operate in the same manner. So in Africa, everyone's fighting for the natural resources. They're fighting for gold. They're fighting for rubber and cobalt and, you know, whatever. And so these local generals, these local presidents are all fighting. These tribes are fighting with each other. And then once you get in power, it's like, okay, I'm in power. I'm going to just take as much as I can. I'm going to sell it to Europe, US, China, whoever. Get money from me, get money from my family, my friends, the local people. Good luck, guys. You know, I'm going to get as much as I can for my people and like basically screw everybody else. Well, in Puerto Rico, it's like, then they don't have gold or cobalt or whatever. The natural resource is federal funding. So they have these local families, they're all fighting to become politicians. And then once they get into politics, it's like, let's hook up my family, let's hook up my friends. We're going to take as much money as we can from this money coming from DC. And then until I get arrested or kicked out, deuces, you know? And so like, there will be these politicians who come to power and I'm talking to my team. I'm like, guys, they just stole this, they just did that. And like, it's like the Stockholm syndrome. They're kind of like, well, you know, they finally got in power. They got to get theirs. You know, I understand it. And I'm like, no, like,
oh my gosh.
That's just the way it is, you know? And so that's why there's this class of like, we want to keep it the way it is because you got this money coming in. But then you also have this boogeyman, the mainland US, the white people, they're colonizers. They're the ones to blame. They don't give us representation. They're bad, 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 bad. And so all the local people are like, we hate the US for making us a colony and not giving us representation. True. But at the same time, it's like you have these local politicians who are stealing everything and like, they don't have that accountability because like, look at DC. You know,
it's like, no, don't look at us.
Exactly.
It's not us.
And then you have these other people who are local who are just like so frustrated with the way it is. And they're just kind of like, whatever, I'm just going to get on a flight, an $80 flight and go to New York and just make money. You know, I'm going to
Do you think the performance with Bad Bunny, do you think that's going to make a difference for Puerto Rico Do you think that, because I feel like if people were privy to the history or the current status of Puerto, because it's not something we look into. Well, not me personally. I can speak for me. Like, oh, Puerto Rican, I'm thinking resort, I'm thinking island, beautiful, blah, 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 sun. You know, I know people go there to party.
Yes.
Never in a million years would I have thought that they were living in the way that you're saying they're living and paying their teachers the salaries that they're paying, you know, like their people in general. Yeah. I mean, so do you think that would be a positive?
So I think anytime you bring awareness to a situation, it's a good thing. I think he would have done, if he was trying to get America on his side, I think having some translations, subtitles or something, I think that would have been helpful. So people who are watching, they don't speak Spanish, they can kind of see what he was saying rather than just have no clue what's going on. Like, why is there guy selling coconuts and why is there a power line? That's making no sense to me. You know what I mean? But if he was talking about like, hey, power situation's bad here, you know, I think it would have been a lot more inclusive, I guess you could say. But ultimately, I mean, anytime there's awareness, I think it's a good thing. I'm not saying there's not good schools here. There are some good schools that like are privatized that are like, and they even have these like charter schools. There's a few charter schools that like they make that are pretty good. But I'm just talking for like the vast majority, like kind of as a threat, a local threat, kind of, again, take this with a grain of salt, but like parents here will be like, if you don't behave, I'm putting you in a public school because it's almost like going to jail. It's like going to jail. Like that's a real thing. And I went to public school, like, you know what I mean? And so I love public school. My sister went to public school. She's a scientist. Like America has that road and every American kid deserves to have that opportunity. I'm not going to say every kid makes it out. I mean, there's social pressure, there's family values. There's a lot of things that contribute to why kids don't make it out for whatever reason, bullying, whatever. But like, again, if you work hard, you listen to your teachers, in every school, you're going to have adults who care about you, who want you to win. That's their job. It's to like go into a school and help a kid win. And I've worked in inner city schools. I've worked in private schools. I've worked in regular public schools and wealthy public schools. It's like, in every level, you have adults in that building who want kids to win. And they're going to, if you come to them and say, hey, I really like the class. I want to do good as a student. Help me get better. You know what I mean? Those kids have that opportunity. It's like, I feel like here I'm not saying it's completely desolate, but it's not the same. And so it's not fair. It's not cool. Like, I don't like it. And so I'm just trying to do my part, you know? But at the same time, there's also this kind of like white saviorism as another thing where people kind of have come in and try to say, like, oh, we're going to do it my way. I know what I'm doing. You guys don't know anything. And then there's just been backlash, either insensitivity or like, even like there's this white secretary of education that came in because there was this corruption. So like, all right, we're going to get this lady from like Virginia or South Carolina. I forget where she's from. The second she got here, she turned corrupt. She like started selling schools in favor of like, they were selling these like schools in great locations that are overlooking the oceans to these developers who then turned them into like resorts or whatever. And then she was getting like free rent and like she raised like, I don't know, a couple $1,000,000. So she went to jail, you know, it's not good. And so anyways,
oh man,
because I lived internationally, I have this background of like, I got a different lens. So when I would come into schools, it was like, all right, how can I, you know, help schools and how can I come in with a method of like my first day I was working with teachers, I'm like, hey, raise your hand if you understand me. And a couple teachers raised their hand. I'm like, oh, you're with me. So I'm like, you're coming at the top. You're a teacher. I'm a teacher. We're the same. I'm going to say this slide in English. You're going to say this slide in Spanish. And if there's any confusion, you know what I mean? And so we have programs that we've developed that are specifically catered, you know, to this.
Nice.
So,
well, Robbie, with all that you are doing and all that you have created and supplied these schools with in Puerto Rico, how do you make sure you are taking care of you? How do you self-care? Because, you know, when you first got there, you was like, oh, I'm about to buy this boat. I love fishing. You tapped into the boat fund. So how do you self-care?
To be honest, I don't self-care. I work 7 days a week. It's like I work for the mission. There's so much work, but I'm the kind of guy where I'm an extrovert. doing meaningful, purposeful work is very motivating. So I have no problem like working on Saturday, Sunday, weekends. Like if I'm not working, I feel like I'm doing something wrong because there's just so much. I remember when I was working in schools, I was always like, all right, 5 o'clock. This is my time now. This is my weekend. Like that no longer exists for me, basically. I just work for the kids. I work for everything that I'm doing. And yeah, that's basically it. So my self-care is just working hard and working for my,
Robbie, I'm going to need you to do better.
I work with I have my own kids. So I'm mindful with them. I have these like in my calendar, I write like man talk. I do this dad talk with my kids every weekend. So I take them out, we do something fun. And then I make them write 5 questions each about a topic they choose. And then we just go into it. And I've been doing that since they were like 5 years old. So now
I
that they're teenagers, now that they're teenagers, they tell me everything, all the questions, all the wonders, so I've kind of built that in. And so I do stuff like that. I take my wife on dates and stuff.
Okay. Good. I was going to say, just remember you, like in the mission, remember you.
I love it though. I love what I'm doing. It's like so empowering. I'm my own boss. So it's like, I do as much or as little as I want. And there's just so many things going on that I like the work I'm doing.
Nice. And last question, because you gave us so much to think on and so much to grow from. What's 3 things you would like to leave people with? If they didn't hear anything else in this conversation, what's 3 things you want to make sure they take away?
Yeah, the first is, I think all kids deserve a world-class education. If you care about America, if you care about American kids, Puerto Rico's in last place, let's just say, from an academic standpoint. So know that it's your country too. We bring in kids all the time for service learning trips and stuff. So they understand that it's their country and these kids are getting like the short end of the stick, I guess you could say. That's 1. 2 is you can make a difference, just you. All you got to do is, take that leap of faith and then, have a plan and just make that initial contact and keep showing up. And, you keep stacking chips and eventually when you look back, you're like, you've done a lot of stuff. So in terms of like my own career, it's like, I've done so much in my career that I never could have done if I would have stayed just as an educator at one school. Even though I was going to conferences and presenting and I wrote a book or whatever, it's like the work I'm doing now is so much more impactful. So if you see a problem or you find something you care about, don't doubt yourself. Just start small and keep at it. And by the time you look back, you'll do big things. And I guess the third thing is self-care. Take care of yourself.
Really, Robin?
I say that facetiously, but just do something you love. I've always done that. I became a teacher because I was the poorest kid in school. I was a free lunch kid, and I was that kid who worked hard and just tried hard with my teacher. And I immediately wanted to work in inner city schools, but that was me. And I think you can do it if you work hard. So keep working hard, keep doing the thing, and kids matter.
Nice.
This
has been amazing. Your journey to where you are is really amazing. And I really, really, really want to express gratitude for you being the change. Really. You went over there with one plan in mind and end up doing something totally different. That just means you listened. Like you got over there, you listened. Like, oh shucks, I see a problem. You know what? Yeah, I'm about to be the solution. So yes. Thank you.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
If anyone wants to support, the easiest way is just go to Instagram, look at Tech My School, follow us. You'll see it for yourself. Go to the website. You'll learn more information, techmyschool.org. If you want to come to the conference, April 10th and 11th, we do it every year. It's the best EdTech conference in the Caribbean. Bring your bathing suit, bring your good vibes, and just learn. You're going to meet a lot of teachers. It's bilingual. It's in English and Spanish. So there's sessions in English, sessions in Spanish. You get to choose what you want to go listen to. And if your school needs help with strategic planning, we have a product. It's called Tech Plan Genie. It's a one-of-one product out there. No one else does anything else like it. So I can help your school. You can do it by yourself just by signing up on the website and just going. It's free for the first 7 days. Or if you want us to remote support you or come to your school and facilitate it, we can do that. And then the proceeds go towards help America's most underserved schools.
Beautiful. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Families.
for having me. Thank you for listening.
Yes, of course. All his links will be available in the description. Homeschool your kids.
Thanks, guys.